Dividend Optimization, Finance section of CFO100. Today's topic is dividend optimization. Dividend optimization is one of the most important tasks for CFO to control the company. And this is one of the most important requirements from shareholders. The cash generated from the business should be paid back to the owner of the business. This is the basic reason that they expect dividends from the companies. The amount of cash flow and the timing of it are related to the return of the business. Not only the aspect of return of the business, but there is also another point of view that the access to excess cash has an adverse effect on the management of the company. From the overall perspective, earlier and larger dividend is good for the owner of the business. However, the reality is not so easy. You are faced with some difficulties in the optimization of the cash flow. For example, new investment and capex to enhance the value of the business should be considered. Making new factories or investment to research and development are needed. Just distributing all excess cash from the business does not mean that the cash is making the business stronger and more creative. In addition to that, tax perspective and conflict among shareholders are much more challenging points for optimization. Although the basic concept of the optimization of cash flow is setting the earlier payment of cash to the owner of the business, CFO need to consider many factors. Let's see how CFO should make the dividend optimization plan. There are three things to do to determine it. One of them is basic thing, and the other two are advanced things. The most basic thing to do is setting a long-term business plan. You need to create an annually midterm and a much longer-term plan. Project type of business having a timeline of the project life is easy to adopt this way. Even in the beginning of the business, this business has a long-term plan, including the cash flow. Even not for such types of business, financial models including cash flow projection should be made by the financial manager. It should include expected capex, working capital, and excess cash flow of the business. A long-term business plan is not easy to set up. However, it's better to set your 3-year or 5-year plan to set the target of the dividend. And the second point is preparation for the unexpected cash out event. It happens in case of that the business need plenty of money for new investment and capex. CFO and the finance manager need to understand how to evaluate the new cash out for the company. The cash out that they are planning for the new project should be better than the existing one. Otherwise, the cash should be paid back to the parent company. A positive net present value and a higher return is required. Such new investments and capex may not be considered at the beginning of the project and entity. However, that new cash out happens in the middle of business, and it can be considered as dividend optimization. The third one is the objective KPI. The specific numerical target and dividend ratio is one of these categories. Management sometimes commit a ratio of dividends and set a specific amount of dividends to shareholders. In such a case, CFO should control cash in out as consistent with their target. The restriction is a hard request for the company, but it also has benefits. The objective dividend rate works a key to control cash and investment. Going concern type of business with having no clear long-term projection plan can set their target based on such external numbers. Those basic 3 points should be considered for making a future plan. This is not a one-time action. At the time of quarterly closing and monthly closing, the dividend plan should be checked by possibility and feasibility. It should be reported to management and shareholders. In the process of updating, the commercial and operation team should be included in the discussion, because not always CFO and understand the future. Operation and commercial divisions sometimes have a new business plan to use it. The operation team knows the efficiency of factories and the necessity of working capital. They know the maintenance plan as well. CFO can have a view of dividends with projection, but they should consider the other many factors to determine dividend optimization. In this page, you can see 3 main examples. I'm going to touch on some of them, but the detailed explanation will be conducted in another extra session. The first category is tax perspective. The dividend has an impact on withholding tax and CIT of shareholder perspective. Especially in case of that, tax treaty works on dividend. This topic includes a tax inspection perspective as well. The second point of view is share redemption. As you understand, share redemption is one of the ways to distribute the cash to the owner. CFO need to consider which way is better. Share redemption is sometimes not easy because of corporate law in each country. The timing of share redemption is not flexible. The dividend can be possible only at the time there is retained earnings. We also need retained earnings ratio and tax efficiency with the share capital. The third category is the perspective of the group. One example is that company lends the excess money to the other group company. It can reduce the tax cost on dividend and retain money in the group. CFO is asked to suspend dividend to adjust the dividend in fiscal year and postpone to the next fiscal year because the company has already reached the target. This is the out of those 3 main factors, but this type of requirement sometimes comes from the headquarters side. Considering those many factors is also as important as the basic cash planning and financial model. The complexity of dividends is coming from many points of view, and the complicated thing is that CFO is sometimes in a conflict of interest among different shareholders. You can imagine that one shareholder prefers to dividend, but the other shareholder may want to use cash to enhance the company by investing in a new facility and future R&D. The shareholder who plan to exit from the project tend to get the money from the company as soon as possible. So there is such type of conflict. Overall, the dividend planning and optimization is very complicated task. So you need to look at the many factors, not only reasonable ones, but also this type of the conflict of interest. When you learn distribution, I recommend you to learn business plan also. A combination of learning both of them makes you have a much better understanding of the wider picture.